What is going on, you guys? In this video, I'm going to be taking you step by step on how to make an interactive dividend portfolio tracker. And on this tracker, you can see we're going to track things like our portfolio's holdings, where we can see our price, cost, and market value, our growth, a trend line, our dividend data, and the stocks industry. We're going to have a tab for our portfolio value metrics, a tab for our dividend metrics. We're going to have a dividend calendar and a daily dividend calendar as well. So this is an extremely useful tool, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how this portfolio tracker works. So let's say that we bought 3M stock. We'll go ahead and list 3M here. We'll say we bought 20 shares at a purchase price of $135 a share and hit enter. You can see all of this data is going to fill in automatically. It's going to list the price of the stock, the cost, our market value. It's going to show all of our growth, a trend line. It's going to show our dividend data here and the industry that the stock is in. And all of the data on our portfolio value tab and dividend tab is going to update automatically. So we can see exactly how much 3M is taking up in our portfolio here. We can see its dollar and percent gain here, and it's been automatically filled into our other charts as well. If we head over to our dividend tab, it's been filled in as well here. We can see our expected yearly dividend income from 3M, our yield on cost, and these other dividend metrics as well. And something that I love about this tracker as well is we also have our dividend calendar and our daily dividend calendar. So let's say that in the month of May, that 3M stock paid us a dividend. So I'm just going to go ahead and list May 22 right here. We'll say 3M stock paid us, hypothetically, just say they paid us $30 on May 30th, or we'll say May 31st, 2022, and hit enter. If we jump over to our dividend calendar tab, you can see 3M stock is listed right here. May is listed right here. Here is that $30 dividend that we received from 3M stock. And so this dividend calendar is extremely useful for a multitude of reasons. You can see which stocks have been paying you over the months, but I especially love to look at my monthly dividend stocks on this dividend calendar because it helps you to see how your dividend growth has been performing. So for example, when I look at MAIN, I can see when I reinvest my dividends, how fast my dividends are growing over each month. I can look back historically and see how often each of these stocks is paying in dividends and how much they're paying out. If I jump over to my daily dividend calendar, we can see that in May, on 31st, I received a $30 dividend, and that's from the trade that we just placed. So this daily dividend calendar and the dividend calendar are both extremely useful tools, as well as our dividend outlook tab and our portfolio value tab. And so I'm going to go ahead and take you step by step on how to create this portfolio tracker. Now, if you'd like to be able to download this portfolio tracker, then you can head over to my Patreon page at the link in the description. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial. Okay, so like I said, this dividend portfolio tracker has 5 main tabs. We have our portfolio holdings, our portfolio value, we have our dividend outlook, and our 2 dividend calendars. And so I've actually already posted a step-by-step video on how to make this entire spreadsheet other than the 2 dividend calendars. So what I'm going to do for time's sake is I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description on the original video. Go ahead and watch that video, and that will take you step by step on how to create this entire tracker except for the dividend calendars. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and jump forward and show you how to create the dividend calendars once you have all of the other parts of this spreadsheet. So again, click on the link in the description to watch the step-by-step tutorial of this dividend tracker, and I'm going to go ahead and jump forward and show how to make the dividend calendars. Okay, so I've jumped forward and we're ready to make our dividend calendars. We're going to have a daily dividend calendar and a pure dividend calendar. So let's go ahead and start with the pure dividend calendar. I'm going to create a new sheet, and I'm going to go ahead and drag this over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and title this dividend calendar. And let's go ahead and do some formatting here. I'm just going to create a space to put our header here. So I'm going to highlight these cells. We're going to go ahead and merge them, and we'll give this page a title. I'm going to put dividend calendar here. Now let's go ahead and center this text, and I'll increase the font size. And okay. And let's give this outer borders real quick as well. Okay, so let's keep moving forward. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and just do some formatting. I'm just going to go ahead and paste this here. But you can see essentially I just have the months listed here. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and list off the stocks that are currently in the portfolio. So I just copied and pasted this right here. And what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to have a total. So this is going to be our line where we can see our total for each individual month. But we'll come back to this portion later. Let's just go ahead and format this. I'm going to highlight this entire spreadsheet. We'll center this text. And again, I'm going to have a stock total listed here. And this is so we can see how much each stock has paid us out in total. And now we're ready to actually start with our dividend calendar formula. And you can see here, this is where all of our data is listed. And starting in January of 2022, that's where we're going to start our dividend calendar. But this is actually going to be a little bit more advanced formula, but stick with me. Hopefully I can explain it and you'll understand it. Typically we use sum if formulas for stuff like this, but we're actually going to use the sum ifs formula. And that's where you use a sum if with two different conditions. And the conditions are we need it to be in the month of January and we need it to be the stock listed to the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and the first data set we're going to pick is all of this dividend data right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and scroll down so in case we place more dividend payouts, it'll automatically fill. And essentially we want the formula to say if it's in the month of January and if it's the stock listed on the spreadsheet, then we want it to add it together. So I'm going to come over here and highlight all of January. So now we have our first condition filled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over and we're going to head to our dividend calendar. And we want it to add those if it's in the month of January. So I'm going to come over here and click on January. Now I'm going to come up here to my formula and I'm going to add an absolute value here. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my next condition to this formula. So what I'm going to do is we will highlight the stocks listed here. And we'll go ahead and jump back over to my dividend calendar page and we'll select the stock that's listed here. And I'm going to add an absolute value to this as well. So essentially we're saying we want it to add if it's the stock listed to the left is there and if the month listed above it is there. And if everything is entered correctly, it should fill in. And okay, let's see, this doesn't look quite right. So let's go back to our formula and see what's incorrect because this data should be filling in. And okay, so it looks like what I need to do is I need to add absolute value right here. I forgot to do that earlier. And essentially that's just going to keep all of the data that we're pulling in the same place so that it doesn't get moved around. So I'll plug this in over here as well. And let's go ahead and test the formula out now. I'll drag it down and okay, so there we can see it looks like our formula is working correctly. I'll drag it all the way over and it looks like all of our dividend data is correctly showing up now. So that is a great start. If you were able to follow along, that's great. If not, just go ahead and rewind the video. And let's go ahead and come over here and we can see looks like Apple paid out this dividend here. AT&T paid out this dividend here. If we come back over here, we can verify that it's working and it looks like it is showing the correct amount paid in dividends. So that's great. It looks like our formula is working correctly. So our dividend calendar is working or operating efficiently, which is really great. I think this is a really phenomenal tool. Let's go ahead and add some conditional formatting. So we're going to say anything greater than 0 will show up green. And this is just going to help all of our dividend payouts stand out a little bit more. So now really we just have some formatting left to do. We also want to add some borders here. So I'll do that here. Now we want to be able to see our monthly total. So I'm just going to do a simple sum formula, nothing too complicated. And I'll highlight this all the way down and hit enter. So now if I go ahead and drag this all the way across, we can see exactly how much we were paid in dividends for each month. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for my stock total. I'll highlight this all the way across, and we can see how much each stock has paid us in total. And let's go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and delete this data here. And I believe now we just need to do a little bit more formatting. So I'm going to come right here and I'm just going to add some color to this. Now, obviously, you can color this in however you want, but I'm going to try to stay consistent with how I've colored it in past videos. So I'm going to go with a light orange color here. I always think that the lighter colors look just a little bit better. And I'll try to color this one in the same as my monthly total. Let's see if I can make this correct. And I'll give this borders here as well. And we'll color in our dividend calendar. And okay, so there you have it. You can see we correctly have our stock totals. We have our monthly totals here. We have our stocks listed here. I'm just going to bold all of this text to make everything stand out just a little bit more. And if you want, you can go ahead and add dollar signs to this. If not, that's perfectly fine as well. I'm going to add it for my totals. But let's go ahead and place an example trade right here just to make sure it's working. We'll say we placed a trade on May 22nd. And we'll say it was ACRE. I'm just going to put a random amount on a May date. Let's jump back over to our calendar. And we can see that dividend payout is correctly showing up on our dividend calendar. So we are officially complete with our dividend calendar. So like I said, this is a really phenomenal tool and I personally use it a ton, but let's go ahead and keep moving forward with the creation of our daily dividend calendar. So I'm just going to go ahead and title our new sheet Daily Dividend Calendar. I'm going to zoom out here just a little bit. And this is going to be a pretty large sheet since it's going to span over 31 rows, or excuse me, 31 columns, since we have 31 days maximum in a month. So I'm going to go ahead and create a header right here. And let's just go ahead and title this. I'll go ahead and center this text as well. We'll give it outer borders and increase the font size. And if you push Command B, since I'm on Mac, you can bold the text or you can click the bold text button on Google Sheets. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come over here. We're going to add a few columns to the right. And I'll remove this just to bring this back up to the top. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste the numbers here. And you can see essentially I just have the year 2022 listed and then 1 to 31, which represents the number of days in the month right here. So just go ahead and list that out. And then the next thing I'm going to do, well, let's go ahead and come down here. And all I've done is pasted the months of the year right here. And you can see to the left of that, I have their correlating numbers. So obviously January is 1, February is 2, March is 3rd, and so on. And the reason I do that is it's going to help us with our formula in just a little bit. But with that being said, now we're ready to start with our daily dividend calendar. So let's go ahead and come right here and let's go ahead and highlight this whole area. And we'll give it borders. And now we're ready for our next formula. And for this one, we're just going to use our normal sum if formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to, oops, that's the wrong tab. We'll go to our, here we go, our dividend recording tab. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of these dates listed right here. And again, I'm going to scroll down farther since I'm going to place more trades in the future. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a function called the date function. And essentially the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select 2022. I'll give that absolute value. And then I'm going to come over here and select the one next to January. And then I'm going to select, let's see if I can click it, this one listed right here. And that's going to indicate to the formula exactly what date we want to pull from our dividend recording tab. And so I'm going to add absolute values to this. We'll close off this parentheses and we'll come back over here. And now we're going to select our dollar amounts. And I'll close off this parentheses. And I'm going to just go ahead and add my absolute values here and hit enter. And okay, it looks like it's working properly. Let's go ahead and drag this formula over. And we'll center this text. And okay, so now we can see exactly what days we have been paid dividends. And again, I'm going to add conditional formatting. So I'm going to say I want anything that is greater than 0 to show up as green. And that's just going to make it much easier to see exactly on what days I was paid dividends. And so you can see exactly what this is going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and color this in here. And I'll just do a little bit of formatting. So if we scroll down here, let's go ahead and we'll place another example trade just to make sure that our daily dividend calendar is working properly. We'll say that O paid me this much money on this date. And we'll hit enter and jump back over to our daily dividend calendar. And you'll see that that amount is showing up right there. So it looks like that our daily dividend calendar is working properly. So there you have it, guys. That's how you make my dividend portfolio tracker in Google Sheets. We now have our tab for portfolio holdings, our portfolio value, our dividend outlook, our dividend calendar, and our daily dividend calendar as well. So if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, if you'd like to be able to download this spreadsheet, then you can head over to my Patreon page at the link in the description. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.